Good afternoon, everyone. I am Emily Bull, DRI's Marketing Director, and I will be your moderator for today's Infor Enterprise Performance Management demonstration. Before we jump into our presentation, I do want to go over a couple of housekeeping items. Everyone is muted as they enter the webinar. We expect the demo to be about 20 minutes, and time permitting, we will open the floor for a live Q&A at the end of the session. If you would like to ask a question, you can do so by typing and submitting your question in the Questions tab of your GoToWebinar toolbar, and we encourage you to submit a question at any time throughout the webinar. If we don't have time to get to your question or we run out of time to answer our questions at the end of the session, we will be following up with you directly via email following the live broadcast. We'll also record this session, and that recording will be emailed to all of our registrants either this afternoon or tomorrow, so you can expect to see that pretty shortly after the session. With that, that's all of the housekeeping items, so I'll go ahead and introduce our presenters. Today, we're joined by Jennifer Buchanan and John Buechel from CFO Solutions, which is DRI's Infor EPM Partner. Jennifer and John, thank you so much for taking the time to demo for our customers today. I think we're all really excited to see what EPM has to offer, so why don't you go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Emily. This is Jennifer Buchanan, and I want to welcome you guys again today to our webinar, which is Maximizing Your Financial Insights with Infor EPM. And we are going to be covering a few different topics with you guys. CFO Solutions is an Infor Alliance partner, and we do specialize in enterprise performance management, which means that we implement, train, and support folks who are looking for enterprise performance management solutions. We're partnered with DRI, and we help you extend your planning and reporting capabilities for CSI and SyteLine. So today's 30-minute session is tailored for finance and operational folks who are looking to get quicker, more insightful analysis from their reporting tools. We do often hear Infor customers looking for reporting tools, confused by many options. And so we're here today to introduce you to Infor EPM, which is a fully integrated solution from Infor to help you plan, report, and measure your organization's performance. Specifically, we have 3 things that we want to go through with you today. We're going to educate you on what you can expect from a fully integrated EPM solution, and we're going to show you a live demo of several ways that you can interface with Infor EPM, which is all on the web in Infor OS, so it's really easy to get to the people who need it. The 3 things that we're going to dig into today is show you some beautifully formatted reports that you can distribute to your stakeholders and across your organization. We're going to dig into one of those reports and show you how they can be highly interactive and help you navigate through your P&L, drilling down and filtering through and getting to those insights that you need. And then lastly, we're going to go through interactive dashboards with you and help you see how you can start from a quick visual, but then drill down and get into the root causes behind the data variances you see. I'm co-presenting today with John Buechel. He will be taking you through the demo portion of it. But first, before we jump into the application, we just want to show you a few visuals to help you get a sense for where Infor EPM fits in to the Infor OS ecosystem. John, if you mind going to our next slide. All right, some of you guys might have seen something like this from Infor in recent past. They like to share this graphic because it really shows the layers and the aspects of the Infor OS environment. And it really is a unified platform that lets you work with your data across the environment. And for your users, it's a quick hop to go navigate through all the different reporting tools, and Infor EPM is one of them. So Infor EPM is in a layer that lets you do modeling and analysis and present the results of those reports and insights through the home pages. It accesses data through the feed from the data lake, and that data can come from SyteLine, CSI, or it can come from third-party systems, homegrown applications, or any other data sources. We would help you configure all of those integrations and have them flow through that Infor OS feed into Infor EPM, and then you publish that out. So again, your users get that unified experience. They don't need to log in anywhere else to go and get their reports. They just simply continue through their day working through the Infor application. Next, we're just going to talk through a little bit about Infor EPM capabilities if you're not familiar with what EPM means. John, if you don't mind. You can expect with an enterprise performance management platform to get not only reporting tools and dashboards, but also business process. Today, we're focusing predominantly on financial reporting and dashboards, However, this platform lets you do more than just that. So when you're making a choice, what platform should I invest in to pull together my reports, you might be inclined to choose one that can do more than just reporting. And in this case, that means budgeting, planning, forecasting, and that can be as distinct as, planning for your workforce and the projects that they're working on, planning and reporting on sales models, or looking at product profitability. This platform can handle all those different scenarios. For you larger organizations that might have multiple entities, it also can handle financial consolidations for you as well. So lots of use cases in one platform. But again, John's going to focus in today for you guys on the financial reporting and dashboard. So I'm going to let John take over and take you through the application.
All right, thank you, Jen. So what I should be showing now is an example of EPM homepage. These are tailored to users, tailored to roles, so different people can have different homepages, but I like to set the framework and the foundation of understanding where you are in terms of that beautiful graph that Jen was talking about before. In Infor, this mingle environment is meant to sync and consolidate all your Infor tools in one spot so that the end users feel like they're all in one spot no matter what application they're using, whether it be SyteLine, whether it be EPM, whether it be the data lake where they're actually seeing all the interconnectivity and all the data flows. So it's all put into one place on the web. So I just like to talk about that interconnectivity first before I start diving in, because like Jen said, in all the different features and functionalities and all the different components of the Infor environment, they're all combined in one spot to be used seamlessly so people don't even realize that they're actually using different tools. So I could talk about all those different things for a long time, but today we are here to deep dive into the reporting that comes out of EPM. So any implementation usually starts off with basic financial reports. So that's where I'm going to start our journey today. Out of EPM, you can create beautiful formatted reports, the ones that we're all familiar with, your traditional income statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements, and all the derivatives of those reports. First goal of any project is getting the data in the system, getting the data consolidated, getting the data validated, and getting it so that you can present it to internal and external stakeholders. These reports are great in EPM. They are not just static though. On the web, you can still drill into them and have some dynamic capabilities into them. Although the initial goal is not pure dynamic and ad hoc reporting that I'll show later on down the evolution of the type of reporting that you can get out of EPM. So we start with the financial reports. We can format them any way you'd like, include logos, change color schemes, work off of a template from the out-of-the-box reports, and then build it to cater to your specific needs. Within these books, we have the ability to use filters and change the dimensionality of what you're looking at, so you can change your versions. To do quick scenario analysis, you can change your time periods, obviously, the entities you're looking at, and you could drill into whatever dimensionality that you so choose to put in the system. A lot of that dimensionality obviously would get fed from SyteLine, so all of the things that you report off of today will be brought over to EPM at the same granularity. Not too much to talk about in terms of the financial reports. It's nice that you have the ability to use it on the web. There is some dynamic aspects to it, but like I said in the beginning, the main goal is to get your reporting in a solid place so you could facilitate your monthly reporting packages, your quarterly reporting packages, those board type reports, executive type reports that you send out or distribute. Now, realistically, everyone's not going to be logging into the system to look at those types of reports, especially as we're talking about board packages and things like that. So what EPM can also do is distribute report books based on the reports that you have set up in the system. So here I have a manual kickoff of a report book, but more likely than not, you're going to have a scheduled send out of these report books, whether that's via email on some kind of recurring schedule, either monthly, quarterly, weekly, whatever it may be. So You can do this with financial reports. You can do it with the management type reports that I'll show later. You can do it with the dashboards. You can do it with really any type of report. I think it's just much more tangible to talk about it in terms of financial statements, because that's what we see more often than not. So what this did was it printed out an export of, let me just zoom out just a little bit, printed out an export of all the income statements. It's running through the different entities that we have in the system. So there might be 4 or 5 entities with data right now, and it spits out each of their individual income statements. I also have balance sheets on this one. So it starts off at your total entity, and then it spits out the individual entities or sites underneath. And then we also can include, reports like this. This one's just a graphical representation of some sales volume. So meant to show that you can combine financial reports, your standard financial reports, with some management reporting, with charts and graphs. If you had commentary and stuff like that, you could include that as well in this. But this is a feature that people love to get out early in the implementation. So they get their financials in there, everything's validated, and then they can start distributing report books so that people can get familiar with the data, get familiar with the new application, and start using the system more and more. So from there, I've talked a little bit about an evolution of the data. At first, you're bringing the data in, you're validating it. Next step, you could add calculations and things like this gross margin percentage that I have. That number isn't the best right there, so I might change to a more recent year that makes a little bit more sense. Change to 2022, and we see some values that are a little bit more realistic. If only they were as high as they were in 2021, but something must have been funky with that year post-COVID. So anyway, you can combine your financial data, you can combine statistical data, you can create calculations on the fly, or you could create calculations that live in the system to fit any of your reporting needs. Now, these reports are great, but they are a little bit static. So part of the power of EPM is the ability to also have dynamic reporting out of the system. So the next one I'm going to go to is an evolution of your financial statement. You would never print something out like this and distribute it to a board or to external stakeholders, but it is a good report for you to start to dive into those numbers. So if you notice something on your financial statement, but you don't quite have the ability to dive into it just by looking at it, these management type reports will allow you to dive into those numbers and find the insight that you're looking for. Where was the variance? Why was net income high or low during this period? How is my margin quarter by quarter? So you start to put together an inventory of reports that expands based on the types of questions that you're being asked and answering on a day-to-day basis. So again, throughout the application, we have the ability to drill down into the details to get to the GL level. I will show in a little bit drilling back into SyteLine and what that could look like for you. But within EPM, you can always drill in to see more detail. You can start it at a very summary level and keep your report simple. And then if people need to look into specifics, they can drill in. We start all our projects with templates that look like this. This isn't the most exciting report. It's a monthly report of the income statement, but then you start to develop different views of that same template. So if you wanted to do a consolidating view where your entities are going across instead of being selected in a dropdown, it's really easy to start from the out-of-the-box reports and change the dimensionality to fit your needs. Make some grid-based reports that are dynamic and easy to use for the end users. Other things that we add to reports, and you could even come up with other things to add to these reports, but different options that just come along with the template. So if you need to really quickly expand everything, you just click expand all, and it's going to expand all your accounts so you can see all the data. So as these reports evolve and as these reports grow, you have all this functionality available to you. You have the filtering ability so that you can use any of the 13 custom dimensions that EPM allows you to use to have the data model fit your needs and fit the way that your business is set up. So from here, we start to get into reports that are really helping you analyze different things. So this one might be a similar view. It's now looking at actuals versus budget. So depending on where you're doing your budget and where you're getting your actuals from, it could get combined into EPM here. And we can do some variance analysis on this. Of course, you could do this with budgets versus forecasts, actuals versus forecasts, rolling forecasts, all the different scenario analysis, things that we commonly see right out the gate in EPM. This screen also allows you to do commentary. So if I knew that this was because of reason, for whatever reason, the price of steel went up unexpectedly, you can type that in. So not only does it produce your financial reports, but you can start to use it for things, variance explanations, and start to get into even workflow of approvals and things like that if you were doing budgeting out of EPM. But within this, these reports all evolve to look and feel how your users want to interact with the data. This report also has the ability to drill into the transaction. So like I was saying before, you can only get so far down by doing this expanding collapse. So once you get to the GL account level, we also have the ability to either show transactions in a pop-up like this or actually drill directly back into SyteLine. So two options that you have at your fingertips. You could either display the data that's showing from the data lake that you're getting from SyteLine, or you could actually jump right to the application in SyteLine. No need to sign on or do anything like that. It's very seamless for them to jump you back to SyteLine to see the actual detail if you need to explore any variances any further. So these reports are great. The management reports are great. But at a certain point, you cannot predict every single way that you're going to want to look at the data. So that's where we start getting into the ad hoc tools within EPM. It would be nice if you knew every single question all the time before it was already asked of you, but the ad hoc tools really allow you to dive into those one-off questions, or once you get to a certain point and you're starting to get hints of what might be the root cause of an issue that you're looking at, the self-service tool and the Excel add-in really let you explore that further to pivot the data in any way you want, just like a pivot table. So I'm going to pop over to those now, and that's back on my original home screen that I was on. So the self-service tool, it's meant to guide the user through that data exploration. I have some favorites saved because it's going to be a little time consuming to put it together from scratch, and we don't have the luxury of time on this webinar. So I have some examples started here, but at its core, it lets users open up the database essentially and look at any cubes that they have access to, any tables that they have access to, and see and explore that data in any manner that they wish. So think of it just like a pivot table, but it's connected to the database, and anyone with the security rights to do this, usually power users, usually finance, FP&A people, love this tool because they can go in and they don't need that the formatted report or the management reports to be able to do the exact same thing. So it's really the combination of all these different tools that all are synced up on data in exploring your data and distributing your reports out that try to give you the full answer of what is going on and what story your data is telling. So say we were looking at one of the income statements and we just noticed the net income was off in a certain period and we want to learn about it a little bit more. You might explore your data here by looking at maybe your margin by product to see if there's anything that's off. These grids start off as tables, just grids of data, just like pivot tables. You have items that you could swap in and out, so you can drag and drop different dimensions on and off the grid as you choose, and you can drill in and expand into that data to see what is going on with whatever scenario that you've been asked to examine a little bit further. So if I was looking at the gross margin by product, I could start to expand out my product line and see if I can notice anything from the data. Now, it is a little bit difficult sometimes to just look at numbers and find any valuable insight here. So self-service, the other nice thing about self-service, it goes back and forth between tables and data exploration and charts pretty seamlessly. So if I were to want to look at this as a more visual person, which I am, I could create a bar chart right from this table, and this tells me a whole lot more maybe than just the raw numbers on a table. So depending on the question you're being asked of is going to be how you set up this grid. What are the filters that you're using? What are the rows? What are the columns? If you start from scratch, if you know you want a certain type of chart, self-service also guides you to that as well by asking you, what kind of data you're going to be putting in it, what are the filters, and each chart is different in terms of its usefulness. Obviously, looking at data in some lights, it's not going to give you a lot of information, but in other lights, it might give you some information. So what self-service does real nicely is allows you to drill into the data. So if I'm looking at my gross margin across different product lines right here, I might see that one is higher or lower than the others. So if I'm looking, I see that my lighting and filtration kind of align year over year. My actuals, they look similar, nothing that would raise a red flag. But when I look at the HVAC product line, we can see a significant drop from 2021 to 2022. So maybe I want to explore that a little bit more. So I would click into here, and it asks you, what do you want to explore more than that? So maybe I want to see exact product lines that might be causing a difference in my margin year over year. So this is a chart that shows me all the different products across at a little bit more detail, and it shows me my 2021, 22, and 23 actuals. And here, for the purpose of the demo, big old red flag here that all of a sudden my gross margin dipped pretty low on these cabin air sensors. So I could continue to drill. I could see if I want to look at specific quarters. I could see if it's specific accounts. But then at a certain point, it becomes easier to look back at the table. So when I get to a point where it's about this many elements on the chart, I do pop back over to explore my data. Again, very seamless to go back to the same exact interface where you're exploring your data and able to pivot things like you're familiar with in a pivot table, and then really easily go back and forth between a chart. So I know that this cabin air sensors was a little bit of a problem, so I might want to look at that one by itself. And then I know I'm at my lowest level, but maybe I have some other dimensionality that I can explore now. So is it something related to department? Is it something related to territory, project? Maybe not, but line of business could be. So I'm going to pull in line of business and show you what that looks like as I start to expand down some more. So I can pull that member onto the grid. I could expand in and see if there's any trends that pop out. And of course, I gave myself a nice easy layup to see, okay, well, in this line of business, I can either build, install, or repair these sensors, but I'm seeing my margin is very high for an install, but then other things are a lower margin, so I'm actually losing money on building and repairing these things. So maybe I should shift my focus from those types of activities and get back to installing, which for some reason I stopped doing in 2022. And then again, if it gives you any value here to to switch this back to a chart, you can jump into the chart and see some things even more clearly, maybe in the tables, if you don't give yourself a really easy example to show you these things. So you are all the experts on exactly what kind of questions you get asked every single day and what kind of problems you would like to solve with an ad hoc tool such as this. I have a few examples that probably won't hit home as much as the ones that you're currently thinking of. But things that came to mind if I wanted to look at scrap across departments or sales expense or marketing expense versus my sales numbers to see if there's any trends that could be found in that. You guys have those probably at the tip of your tongue right now of how you would like to use this tool. But the key is that it's a user guided or a system guided user experience to help answer those questions that you get on a day-to-day basis. So when you're evolving from the initial implementation of putting in your financial reports and you're distributing those nice pretty reports out to everybody that needs to see them, or whether you're then going to the management type reports where you are analyzing your data in a slightly different way, maybe that doesn't have to be formatted and print ready, but does allow you some more dynamic ability, or whether you need to go full-blown dynamic, explore my data, pivot it around, dig deep to find some insights. EPM is meant to bring all these tools together in one place so that you can do all of those things at once. And like Jen said, that's just scratching the surface of the reporting portion of the application. There's all sorts of things that we could get into with consolidations and budgeting and planning and forecasting. But as far as reporting goes, that's what I had today to share. So I'm going to transition back to Emily, and hopefully we have a little bit of time for questions that trickled in.
Yeah, we did have a few questions that trickled in. So just a reminder to everybody, we have a couple minutes left, so we'll get through the questions. But if you have a question and you want to type and submit it into the question tab of your webinar toolbar, please do that. If we don't get to it, we will respond via email later. So the first question is, do the comments in the variance report get saved to be accessed later?
Yes, definitely. You decide what version you want to save them on, but that gets saved just like any other data. So definitely.
Excellent. The next question is, there are times when we want to see orders that are due to ship versus the monthly sales budget. Can that be done with EPM?
Yes, so EPM allows you to pull in any type of data that you want. Most traditionally, at first, it's financial data, but we certainly have people using statistics and calculations and more operational type data. We would get into exactly what your needs are throughout the discovery phases of an implementation, but EPM is meant to combine data from all different sources, all different types of data. So yes.
Excellent. All right. We have 2 minutes left. Jennifer, I know that there was this last slide here. Did you have anything you wanted to add before we wrapped up today?
No, I just want to reinforce that if you're looking to find a reporting tool, hopefully today you learned that with EPM, you have an option to have print-ready reports, ad hoc reporting, dashboards, and there's so much more that we could show. So if you want to learn more about making an investment in a platform that will do more than just the dashboards, just the basic reports, get in touch with your client success manager and let them know that you'd like to set up some time with CFO Solutions. We'll be glad to dig deeper to talk through your very specific needs and help you understand how you can take advantage of the whole platform. So thank you again to everybody today. We appreciate your time.
Yep. So as I mentioned earlier, we will be following up with a recording via email. So if you're not sure who your client success manager at DRI is, you can certainly respond to that email that goes out either this afternoon or tomorrow morning. You can expect to see that. So that is almost our time, and we're out of questions as well. So it works out great. I just wanted to say thank you again so much to Jen and John at CFO Solutions, and thank you to all of our attendees. Have a wonderful afternoon.